Washingtonians demand assertive, effective, and protective gun safety laws. And we intend in this session of the legislature to give Washingtons assertive, effective, and protective laws to protect them and their children against this epidemic of gun violence. Now, before I talk about our gun safety laws, I want to make this clear. Our gun safety laws are not the only thing we're going to do to fight gun violence. We are going to provide more mental health to our young people. We are going to attack the homelessness crisis. We are going to train more police officers so that there are more officers on the streets to protect us. But we also have to have something that goes to the heart of gun violence, which is that too many guns of the wrong kind are in the wrong hands. And the laws we will propose today are aimed at keeping the wrong guns out of the wrong hands. We know these laws can be effective, and I'll talk about those in a minute. But let me just set the stage. When I say epidemic of gun violence, I mean an epidemic of gun violence. We lose over 800 Washingtonians a year to gun violence. Today, gun violence, and this is shocking to me, is the leading cause of death of our young people, above car accidents, above cancer. This is what is killing our kids more than anything else. Nearly 6,000 kids have been hurt or killed last year. We have over 600 mass shootings every year in the United States. 23 Washingtonians died last month as a result of gun violence. Gun violence is an epidemic, and it is going to increase if we do not take action. Our rate of gun death is not only the highest in the United States, in the world, it is 4 times higher than any other nation. Now, other nations have difficulties in mental health. Other nations have people who get in arguments. But we have this scourge of gun violence because of the presence of the wrong kind of guns in the wrong hands. And that's what these laws are intended to protect, that we intend to introduce. So we will be introducing bills to ban assault weapons, to create an appropriate level of liability for gun manufacturers. And importantly, in the bill that I will talk about in some depth right now, is a permit to purchase bill that will treat guns with the severity that they deserve. You need to get a license to drive a car in the state of Washington. You need to get a license to go fishing. It's time that you get a license to make sure that you have safety training to purchase a gun in the state of Washington. And it's high time that we pass a bill to make sure you get a permit before you purchase a firearm. Now, why is this necessary? I guess it goes without saying. We know we've got an epidemic. We know we need to take action. And when you look around the suite of things that are actually effective, this might be the single most important, in my view, thing we can do. We know that it's effective. After the shooting in Connecticut, they passed a permit to purchase bill. And they had about a 40% reduction in gun violence as a result. States that have gone the other way to remove gun safety laws have had a 60% increase in gun violence in their states. These laws work. They work because they make sure people have safety training. They make sure that we give us time to do an adequate background check. They work because there is some modest delay so that when you're a fit of anger or you're in a desirous to commit a crime, you can't get a gun in the first 30 minutes. These are common sense measures that in some degree provide us adequate protection. And that's why we will be introducing, as governor's request legislation, a law to require a permit to purchase or receive and transfer a gun in the state of Washington. We think that this is not only common sense, but we believe it will be very, very effective in this scourge. Now, it's just one of the bills, but it is an important one. Let me touch on the assault weapon ban. I voted for an assault weapon ban in 1994. I believed it was the right vote then. I believe it's the right vote now. The mass shootings we are experiencing are epidemic. These are the things that penetrate police officers' body armor, about 25% when police officers are shot with assault weapons. These are weapons of war. There is no legitimate reason for them in our society. We know that these mass shootings continue to proliferate, and this is a common sense measure to protect our people. So in closing, I just want to say this touches me every time I read about this. Because what used to be an argument in a parking lot that might end up in a fist fight, there's now somebody dead in the street that doesn't go home to their families. What used to be a fist fight at Ingraham High School when I was there in 1969 was a fatal shooting of a young man in the school I went to. We cannot surrender to this epidemic. And I think the first order of business for us as a state is to recognize that we are going to take action. Look, I refuse to accept that we're powerless here. We know we can take action, and we had to bend our efforts to do that in this legislative session. And I think we got a fair shot at getting these bills through, in part because we got a great Attorney General who's pushing safety in a lot of different ways, including his retail sales theft task force, our efforts to increase our training of additional police officers. Thanks for Bob Ferguson and his leadership. Come on up, Bob.
Thank you, Governor. And we are lucky indeed in the state that we're led by a governor who cares so deeply and leads on these issues. Please join me in thanking Governor Inslee for your leadership over many years.
Wait a minute. We have an issue here.
Oh my gosh. Is there a doctor here? Does anybody have any medical experience here?